This lesson is about congruent triangles, and congruent triangles will be on your quiz next class, but we'll go over the homework quite a bit before you take the quiz. Alright, so first let's get the definition of congruent triangles. Congruent triangles are two triangles with corresponding angles and corresponding sides congruent. Now when we did the last chapter on parallel lines and transversals, congruent angles were the ones that were in the same position. So the same thing here with congruent angles, are the angles in the same position and the sides in the same position. They all match up. So it's like putting a triangle on a copy machine and making an exact copy. They're the exact same size and shape. So let's draw a picture of two matching triangles. So here's one triangle. Here's our other. We're going to label this one triangle A, B, C. And this triangle is D, E, F. And when they're congruent, the corresponding angles match and the corresponding sides match. So since A is in the same position as D, they're congruent. B is the same as E, and C is the same as F. So those are the corresponding angles. So there's three pairs of those. Then also the corresponding sides match up. AB is in the same position as DE, BC matches EF, and AC matches DF. The way we write the notation for that is we write triangle, and you start the first one however you want, and then it's congruent to. And then the second triangle has got to match what you did in the first. Well, I wrote A first, and A has one arc mark, so A has to match with D. B has two arc marks, and E has two, so those have to go next. Then it'll be D, E, F. Alright, so here's a picture of two congruent triangles. And this part right here is called the congruent statement. And it's really important that you use this to figure out what matches up. The picture is actually not that important. We really need that congruent statement. So when we have congruent triangles, there's three pairs of angles that match and three pairs of sides that match. So we're going to list the congruent angles and the congruent sides. So as far as the angles, because M is listed first, M has to match with G. So we're going to say angle M is congruent to angle G. N is listed second, so N has to match with H. So angle N is congruent to H. O is listed last, so O matches with I. So O is congruent to I. So there's the three pairs of congruent angles. Now we have to match the congruent sides. Well, MN are the first two letters, so they have to match with GH. NO are the last two letters, so NO has to match with HI. M and O are the first and the last, so MO has to match with GI. So when you have triangles are congruent, you have three pairs of congruent angles and three pairs of congruent sides for a total of 6 things. So next class, when we have to prove triangles congruent, instead of looking for all those 6 things, I'm going to teach you some shortcuts where we use 3 of the 6. Alright, let's practice writing those congruent statements because those are really important. Now it doesn't matter what I write for the first one, so let's say I write MON. But the second one has to match. So M is the right angle, so M has to match with S. O has got one arc mark on it, so O has to match with R. Oops, it's further along there. And the last would have to be T. Alright, so on this one I'm going to do triangle WYQ. Take a second and figure out how you'd write the matching triangle. Okay, so first you write the triangle notation. W has one mark, so W matches with A. Y has 3, so that matches with B. And then C. All right, we're going to use these congruent statements to figure out how to fill in the blank. So we want to know what AF is congruent to. Well, AF is listed first, so AF has got to match with BG. Angle S. S is in the middle, so S is going to match with angle H. IR is the first and the last, so IR has to match with JU. This one they want to fill in the blank. Well, they did KLP, so if I look at this triangle, KLP would be middle, last, first. So if I come over here and do middle, last, first, that would be triangle, don't forget the triangle symbol, DEC. Okay. Whoops. There's some stuff that is missing here. Let's figure out what it is. Hold on. Okay, not sure why that was missing, but it's back now. So the first thing, these are not very hard. We're still going to use this congruent statement, but you've got to be really careful about what's next to it. So these first two have a congruent symbol. When a congruent symbol is there, they want you to name the segment. And when we name the segment, we have to use letters. Okay, so the first two, G is in the end, so G matches with angle A. ST are the first two letters, so ST matches with BR. Okay, now this one is different. This one says oops, I wrote it wrong though. Your paper's correct. Okay, this says the measure of angle R equals. Well, do you see how these three have equal signs? They want a number to go in there. So R, we know, is the middle one, so R matches with T. Well, T is 112, so that means R has to be 112. Okay, now they want A. Well, A is the last, and A matches with G, so these match, but they're both blank. However, these third ones, they're going to have to match as well, so this one would have to be 57. So in your calculator, you can do 180 minus 112 minus 57, and that's going to give you 11. Now, it's not drawn to scale, but that's the angle measure. Okay, then it wants TA, but notice it's an equal sign, which is different than the congruent sign up here. So here they want a number. Well, TA is the last two letters, so it's got to match with RG. So RG is 4, so TA would have to be 4. All right, for the last one, we got to rearrange it. They said triangle RGB, so if I look up here, RGB would be middle, last, end. So if I do middle, last, end, that's going to be triangle, don't forget the triangle symbol, TAS. Okay, now we got a couple word problems, but these are pretty easy. Important thing is to draw the picture correctly. So first it says these triangles are congruent, so draw two matching triangles. And we want to label them the same way. So I'm going to do this one D, E, F. So this one is M, N, O. And when we have congruent triangles, the angles correspond and so do the sides. And if we look at this problem, I want to know whether we're dealing with sides or angles in this problem. Well, it's two letters. These are all sides. So in this one, I want you to mark the congruent sides. So DE matches with this. The rights match and the bottoms match. Now we've drawn the picture. Now we need to label the picture. DE is 24, EF is 32, DF is 28, and MN is 4x minus 8. All right, now that we have the picture, now it's really easy to see that the 4x minus 8, which is this segment here, has got to match the DE. Okay, the reason they give you so much information is they want you to know which ones match. So you got to pick. Okay, so to solve, we're going to add 8 to both sides. So we get 4x equals 32. Divide by 4. So x is 8. All right, let's try this again on the next one. Example 2. So we got two congruent triangles, so we're going to draw two matching triangles. So we have HIP and COL. Okay. Now when we have congruent triangles, we have 3 congruent angles and 3 congruent pairs of sides. So on this one, we look at the problem and, well, it's got all angle measures. So I want you to mark the angles in the picture. So H matches with C, I matches with O, and P matches with L. So now we've drawn the picture. When you take the quiz next time, this is what I expect to see. Okay? And now we're going to label it. H is 84, I is 4x plus 2, and L is 2x plus 10. Now, we need to solve for x, but we don't have all 3 angles in one triangle. But we know that L and P match. So that means if this is 2x plus 10, that's going to be 2x plus 10. So now we can write an equation because all 3 angles in a triangle should add to 180. Okay. I'm going to do a little mental math. 4x and 2x is 6x. 2 plus 10 is 12. 12 plus 84 is 96. They're in a triangle, so they all add to 180. So I'm going to subtract 96 from both sides. So I get 6x equals 84. Divide by 6. So x is 14. Okay, now I need to find the angle measures. First one is H. Well, I told you H was 84. So that's good. But H matches with C, so C's got to be 84 as well. Now find I. Plug it in. 4 times 14 would be 56. Add 2 would be 58. So if I is 58, then O has to be 58. Next, P is 2x, or excuse me, yeah, P is 2x plus 10, so that's 2 times 14 is 28, plus 10 would be 38. So these two match. All right, one last problem. It's really important that you use this congruent statement. Otherwise, your mind's going to play tricks on you. You're not going to set it up correctly. Okay, first it wants us to find x. Well, x is right here in angle D. So if I look, D matches with A. If I look at A is 87. So I know that 5x plus 2 has to equal 87. So I'll subtract 2 from both sides. So I get 5x equals 85. Divide, so x is 17. Okay, let's do the same thing with y. Y is right here in C. Using my congruent statement, C matches with F. Okay, but do I know F? No. But these third angles have to match as well. So I know this is 42. So to find y, I've got 2 options. Now I know all 3 angles in a triangle, so I can say 87 plus 42 plus 3y equals 180. Or, and these are both equally correct, because I know all the angles equal to 180, I can do 180 minus 87 minus 42, and I'll get 51. So I know this angle has to be 51, so I could do 3y equals 51. And when I divide, y is 17. Okay, this material and the stuff we did last class is on your quiz, but we will spend time in class on Thursday reviewing it before we take your quiz.